Imagine a young boy standing in front of a mirror. His fists are raised. His eyes are full of fire. He looks at his reflection and says, "I am the greatest." He is 12 years old. He has nothing. No money, no fame, no title. But he has something more powerful than all of those things. He has a dream. This is the story of Muhammad Ali, a man who changed boxing forever, a man who changed America forever, a man who showed the world that believing in yourself can take you anywhere. This is not just a story about boxing. This is a story about courage, about standing up for what you believe, about falling down and getting back up again, about being a champion not just in sport, but in life. Let us begin. The city of Louisville. Kentucky is a city in the southern part of the United States. In the year 1942, it was a very different place from what it is today. Black people and white people lived separately. There were different schools for black children, different restaurants, different water fountains. Life was not fair or equal for everyone. On January 17, 1942, a baby boy was born in Louisville. His parents named him Cassius Marcellus Clay, Jr. His father, Cassius Clay, Sr., painted signs and walls for a living. His mother, Odessa, worked as a cleaner in other people's homes. They did not have much money, but their home was filled with love. Little Cassius was a bright and lively boy. He talked all the time. He was always moving. He smiled easily. He laughed loudly. His mother used to say, "This boy has too much energy for one house." His father was a proud man. He taught Cassius and his younger brother Rudolph about the world. He told them stories. He sang songs. But he also told his sons about the hard truth of life. He told them that the world was not always kind to black people. He told them to stay strong. Cassius listened carefully. Even as a child, he felt something burning inside him. He did not know what it was yet, but it was there. When Cassius was 12 years old, something happened that changed his life forever. It was October of 1954. Young Cassius had ridden his new red bicycle to a local fair. He spent the day enjoying the activities, but when it was time to go home, his bicycle was gone. Someone had stolen it. Cassius was very upset. He was crying and angry. He went looking for a police officer to report the theft. Someone told him there was a police officer in the basement of a nearby building called the Columbia Gym. Cassius ran down the stairs, and there, in that basement gym, his whole life changed. The man he found was not just a police officer. He was also a boxing coach. His name was Joe Martin. He was teaching young boys how to box. Cassius walked in with tears on his face. He was shaking with anger. He told Joe Martin about his stolen bicycle. He said, "When I find the person who stole my bike, I am going to beat him up." Joe Martin looked at the boy calmly. Then he said, "Son, if you want to fight somebody, you should learn how to box first." Cassius looked around the gym. He saw boys punching bags. He saw them moving quickly on their feet. He saw them sparring with each other. Something clicked inside him. Something felt right. He said, "Okay, teach me." And that was the beginning of everything. Cassius started training with Joe Martin 6 weeks after that day. He came to the gym every single day. He was not the strongest boy there. He was not the most experienced, but he was the most dedicated. He woke up early every morning to run. He ran in the dark streets of Louisville before the sun came up. He ran even in cold weather. He ran even when he was tired. When other boys were sleeping, Cassius was training. When other boys were playing, Cassius was practicing. Joe Martin noticed something special about the boy. He told a colleague, "I have trained a lot of kids in this gym, but this one is different. He has something you cannot teach. He has heart." Cassius was not just physically disciplined. He also had an incredible mind for boxing. He watched other fighters closely. He studied their movements. He looked for patterns. He understood very quickly that boxing was not just about being strong. It was about being smart and fast. He developed a style that was completely his own. He moved on his feet like a dancer. He kept his hands low, which many coaches said was wrong. He floated around the ring. And then, when the moment was right, he attacked with lightning speed. His punches were incredibly fast. Many opponents could not even see them coming. Joe Martin told him, "Cassius, you move like no one I have ever seen. Keep that." Cassius kept it, and it became his greatest weapon. As a teenager, Cassius won fight after fight. He competed in local amateur boxing tournaments. He won the Louisville Golden Gloves Championship multiple times. He became well known in the city. People came to watch him not just because of his boxing skill. They came because of his personality. Before his fights, Cassius would stand up and talk loudly. He would say things like, "I am the greatest fighter in Louisville. No one can beat me. I will win in round 2. People laughed. People shook their heads. But then the fight would begin, and he would do exactly what he said. He was fast. He was smart. He moved beautifully, and he won. His friends used to tease him. They would say, "Cassius, why do you talk so much? One day someone is going to shut you up." He would just laugh and say, "Nobody is going to shut me up, because I speak the truth." He was not just bragging. He truly believed in himself. That belief was real, and it was powerful. In 1960, when Cassius was 18 years old, he qualified to represent the United States at the Summer Olympics in Rome, Italy. This was a big moment. But before he got on the plane, something happened that showed the world what kind of person he was. Cassius had heard that some European countries had different attitudes toward black people. He was nervous about traveling internationally. He was also still deeply aware of the racial inequality in his own country. One of his teammates said, "Cassius, you are going to Rome to represent America. Are you not proud?" Cassius thought about the question seriously. He said, "I am proud of my country, but my country does not always treat people like me with pride. I am going to Rome to win, and when I win, I will show the whole world what I can do." He got on the plane. He arrived in Rome, and he was ready. The 1960 Rome Olympics were watched by millions of people around the world. Cassius competed in the light heavyweight category. He fought against the best amateur boxers from many different countries. Fight after fight, he dominated. His style was unlike anything the Olympic judges had seen before. He moved with grace and speed. He hit hard and precise. He made boxing look like an art form. In the final match, Cassius faced a Polish boxer named Zbigniew Pieczykowski. This fighter was experienced. He was tough. He had won medals at previous Olympics. The fight was hard. Pieczykowski was strong and skilled. He pushed Cassius in the early rounds. But Cassius adjusted. He studied his opponent carefully during the fight. He found the weaknesses. And in the final round, he took complete control. When the judges announced the score, Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. was declared the Olympic gold medal winner in boxing. The crowd cheered. His teammates hugged him. Cassius raised his arms to the sky. Tears fell from his eyes. He was 18 years old. He was standing on the top of the world. He wore that gold medal everywhere. He slept with it. He ate with it. He showed it to everyone he met. He told a reporter, "This is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. I worked for this my whole life." But the joy did not last long. When Cassius returned to Louisville with his Olympic gold medal, he expected to be welcomed as a hero. He had just represented his country on the world stage. He had won gold. He had made America proud. But America did not treat him like a hero. He went to a restaurant with a friend one evening. He was wearing his gold medal around his neck. He walked in proudly and sat down at a table. The server came over and said quietly, "I am sorry. We do not serve colored people here." Cassius looked at the man. He looked at his gold medal. He felt something break inside him. He said, "I just won this medal for America at the Olympics in Rome." The server said nothing. He just looked away. Cassius and his friend walked out of the restaurant. Years later, Ali told this story many times. He said it was the moment that changed his understanding of the world forever. He said, "I came home with a gold medal, and I still could not eat in a restaurant." What does that tell you about the world? Some people say that on that night, deeply hurt and angry, he threw his Olympic gold medal into the Ohio River. He never confirmed this story fully, but the pain of that moment stayed with him forever. Despite the pain, Cassius Clay did not stop. He turned professional in October 1960. This meant he was now a real professional boxer. He would be paid to fight, and he would fight some of the best boxers in the world. His first professional fight was against Tunney Hunsaker. Cassius won easily. Then he won again, and again, and again. His trainer in the professional world was a man named Angelo Dundee. Angelo was a respected boxing coach in Miami, Florida. From the moment Angelo saw Cassius train, he knew he was special. Angelo later said, "He was the best athlete I have ever seen in my life. His reflexes were extraordinary. His footwork was like a dancer, and his mind was always working." Angelo never tried to change Cassius. He worked with his natural style. He made small adjustments. He gave him advice, but mostly he let the young man develop his own way. Cassius trained in Miami. He was far from his family in Louisville, but he was focused. He was disciplined. He woke up before sunrise every day to run. He trained for hours. He watched footage of other fighters. He prepared not just his body, but his mind. He also continued talking. Everywhere he went, he told people he was the greatest. He gave funny poems about his fights. He predicted which round he would knock out his opponent. People loved it or hated it, but everyone paid attention. A journalist once asked him, "Why do you talk so much, Cassius?" He smiled and said, "Because words are powerful. If I say I will win, then I believe it. And when I believe it, I do it. And when the other fighter hears me, he starts to wonder. And doubt is the enemy of champions." Fight by fight, Cassius climbed the rankings of professional boxing. He defeated every opponent placed in front of him. He was fast. He was smart. He was exciting. But the real test was coming. In 1964, Cassius Clay was given the chance to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world. His opponent was the current champion, Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston was one of the most feared men in boxing history. He was enormous. He was powerful. His punches were devastating. He had knocked out previous champions easily. Many people believed he was unbeatable. The boxing world did not think Cassius had a chance. Reporters wrote that he would be destroyed. Trainers said it was a mistake to put the young man in the ring with Liston. Even some of Cassius's own supporters were worried. Before the fight, Cassius held a press conference. He stood in front of the cameras and reporters and said, "I am the greatest. Sonny Liston is a big, ugly bear. I will float like a butterfly. I will sting like a bee. His hands cannot hit what his eyes cannot see. Round 8 to prove I am great." Everyone laughed. Reporters shook their heads. One columnist wrote, "Clay is brave or foolish. We will find out which one on fight night." Inside, Cassius was nervous. He admitted this to Angelo in private. He said, "Angelo, Liston is very strong. I know that." Angelo looked him in the eye and said, "You are faster than him. You are smarter than him, and you believe in yourself more than anyone I have ever coached. That matters." Cassius nodded. He went back to training. The night of February 25, 1964 arrived. The fight was held in Miami Beach, Florida. The arena was packed. Television cameras sent the image to millions of homes. Sonny Liston stepped into the ring. He looked like a mountain. He stared at Cassius with cold, dark eyes. He was trying to intimidate him. Cassius stared right back. He did not look away. The bell rang. What happened next shocked the entire boxing world. Cassius moved. He moved like lightning. He moved around the ring with incredible speed. Liston's punches missed again and again. Cassius hit him with sharp, fast combinations. He hit and moved, hit and moved. Liston could not land his big punches. He was frustrated. He was confused. Round after round, Cassius controlled the fight. He was hitting Liston cleanly. He was making the champion look slow. Then, in the fourth round, something went wrong for Cassius. There was a burning sensation in his eyes. He could barely see. Something had gotten into his eyes from the ring. Some people think it was a substance from Liston's gloves. Others think it was from the cut cream used between rounds. Cassius went to his corner between rounds. He grabbed Angelo's arm and said, "Angelo, I cannot see. There is something in my eyes. I cannot go back out there." Angelo looked at him firmly and said, "Listen to me. Your eyes will clear. You are winning this fight. Get on your bicycle. Run. Move. Keep moving. Do not let him hit you. You are too close to the greatest moment of your life." Cassius took a deep breath. He walked back out. He moved. He ran. He kept distance. Even half blind, he survived the round. And then his eyes began to clear. In the sixth round, Cassius was back in full control. He was hitting Liston with powerful combinations. Liston looked tired and beaten. When the bell rang to start round 7, Sonny Liston did not stand up. He stayed on his stool. He told his corner he could not continue. His shoulder was injured. He said the fight was over. Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. had won. He was the new heavyweight champion of the world. He jumped around the ring. He screamed at the reporters who had said he would lose. He shouted, "I am the greatest. I told you. I told you all." The arena was stunned. The world was stunned. He was 22 years old, and he had just changed the world of boxing forever. The next morning, Cassius Clay made another announcement that surprised the whole world. He had joined the Nation of Islam. This was a black religious and political organization in America. The Nation of Islam taught black Americans to be proud of who they were. It challenged racial inequality directly. It was a controversial organization at that time. And he had a new name. He told the press, "My name is no longer Cassius Clay. Cassius Clay was a slave name. My new name is Muhammad Ali." The reaction was enormous. Many people were angry. Many people refused to call him by his new name. Reporters kept calling him Cassius Clay. Some fighters called him Clay in the ring to disrespect him, but Ali stood firm. He said, "My name is Muhammad Ali. Call me by my name." He said it calmly. He said it clearly. He said it with dignity. And over time, the world began to listen. This was a deeply important moment. It was not just a name change. It was a statement. It said that a black man in America had the right to define himself, to choose his own identity, to say who he was with pride. Many people today see this moment as one of the most powerful acts of the civil rights era in America. Ali defended his championship again and again. He fought brilliant fighters. He beat them all. He was at the top of the sport. But outside the boxing ring, the world was changing, and Ali was changing with it. In 1967, the United States was in the middle of the Vietnam War. The American military was sending young men to fight in Vietnam. This process was called the draft. When a young man received a draft notice, he was required by law to join the military. Muhammad Ali received his draft notice, and he refused. He said, "I have no quarrel with the Viet Cong. No Vietnamese person has ever called me the names I have been called in America. Why should I travel 10,000 miles to drop bombs on brown people when black people in America are treated as second-class citizens? He said it publicly. He said it clearly. He said it without apology. The reaction was enormous and immediate. The American government was furious. The boxing authorities stripped him of his heavyweight title. He was banned from boxing. He was found guilty of refusing military service. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, although he remained free while his case was being appealed. He lost everything. His title was gone. His ability to earn a living was gone. His passport was taken away. He could not even travel outside the country. Many people turned against him. They said he was unpatriotic. They said he was a coward. They called him terrible names. He received death threats. The years between 1967 and 1970 were the hardest years of Ali's life. He was in his prime. He was 25 years old. He was at the peak of his physical ability, and he could not fight. During those years, Ali did not hide. He did not disappear. He went to universities and colleges across America. He gave speeches. He talked to young people about justice, about equality, about the importance of standing up for what you believe, even when it is costly. He told audiences, I could easily go to the army. I could say yes. I could keep my title and my money. But I would have to lie. I would have to go against everything I believe. And if I have to choose between my title and my soul, I choose my soul. Students cheered. Not everyone agreed with him, but millions of young Americans who were also questioning the Vietnam War heard Ali's words and felt something important. His case went all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States. In 1971, the Supreme Court ruled in his favor, 8 votes to 0. His conviction was overturned. He was free, but 3.5 years of boxing were gone forever. And the world would never know what he might have achieved in those years. Ali returned to boxing in 1970. He was not quite the same fighter he had been before. He was older. His legs were not as fast. He could not move the way he once did. But his heart was bigger than ever. He quickly worked his way back to the top of the heavyweight division. He wanted one thing. He wanted his title back. To get it back, he had to face the current champion, a man named Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier was a great champion. He was strong, aggressive, and powerful. He had beaten every opponent he had faced, and he had won the heavyweight title while Ali was banned from boxing. The fight between Ali and Frazier was called the Fight of the Century. It was held on March 8, 1971. At Madison Square Garden in New York City. The whole world was watching before the fight. Ali said things about Frazier that were not kind. He called him ugly. He called him simple. He tried to use words to get into Frazier's head. This was part of Ali's strategy. But some people felt he went too far. Even some of Ali's supporters were uncomfortable. The fight itself was brutal and beautiful. Both men gave everything they had. Ali tried to use his skill. Frazier came forward relentlessly. In the 15th round, Frazier knocked Ali down with a tremendous left hook. Ali got back up. He always got back up. But at the end of 15 rounds, the judges gave the decision to Joe Frazier. Ali had lost. For only the second time in his professional career, he had been beaten. He sat in his dressing room after the fight. His face was bruised. His body ached. A reporter came in quietly and asked, "How do you feel?" Ali sat in silence for a moment. Then he said, "I feel pain, but I am still here. I will be back." He was not angry. He was not making excuses. He accepted the defeat, and he began planning his return. Ali continued fighting. He won many more fights. He was still one of the best fighters in the world. But his path back to the world title was long. In 1973, he suffered another loss. He was beaten by Ken Norton, who broke his jaw during the fight. Ali fought the entire second half of the fight with a broken jaw. He lost the decision, but the courage he showed that night became one of the legendary moments of his career. His doctor told him afterward, "Ali, you fought 12 rounds with a broken jaw. Most men could not do that." Ali said quietly, "I did not come this far to quit." He had surgery. He recovered. He got back in the gym. He trained again. And then the moment he had been waiting for finally came. In October 1974, Muhammad Ali was given the chance to fight the current heavyweight champion. The champion was George Foreman, and George Foreman was terrifying. Foreman was enormous. He was one of the most powerful punchers in the history of boxing. He had recently beaten Joe Frazier in 2 rounds. 2 rounds. A fight that experts expected to be close. Foreman destroyed him in minutes. Most experts believed that Foreman would destroy Ali. Ali was 32 years old. Foreman was 25. Foreman was stronger. He was bigger. He was in the best form of his career. The fight was called the Rumble in the Jungle. It was held in Kinshasa, in the country of Zaire, which is now called the Democratic Republic of Congo. It was a historic occasion, a world heavyweight title fight being held in Africa. Millions of Africans were watching their hero, Muhammad Ali. Ali arrived in Zaire weeks before the fight. He ran in the streets. The people came out to cheer for him. Children ran beside him. They chanted his name. He stopped to shake their hands and hug them. He told a journalist, "These are my people. This is my home. I feel something here I cannot describe. I will not lose this fight in Africa." But his trainer, Angelo Dundee, was very worried. He watched Foreman train. He saw the power. He saw the size. He came to Ali one night and said seriously, "Ali, you need to listen to me. This man is incredibly strong. We need to be careful. We need a plan." Ali smiled. He said, "Angelo, I already have a plan." Angelo said, "What plan?" Ali said, "I am going to let him hit me." Angelo almost fell off his chair. He said, "What are you talking about? If he hits you, he will knock you out." Ali said, "Trust me." The night of the fight, October 30, 1974, was electric. The stadium in Kinshasa was packed. The air was warm. The crowd was loud. Ali and Foreman stood in the center of the ring. The referee gave them their instructions. Then the bell rang. In the early rounds, Ali did something no one expected. He went to the ropes. He leaned back against them. He covered his body with his arms, and he let Foreman punch him. Foreman punched and punched and punched, heavy, powerful punches. Ali blocked many of them with his arms. Some landed. Ali moved with them, rolling, absorbing. He talked to Foreman while he was punching him. He said things to distract him. He said, "Is that all you have, George? You hit like a child." Foreman punched harder. He was spending enormous energy. He was using all his power trying to knock Ali out. But Ali stayed up, round after round. Foreman was punching himself out. His arms were getting heavy. His legs were getting slow. Ali's corner was screaming at him to fight back. Angelo was almost crying in the corner. He could not believe what Ali was doing. Then, in the 8th round, Ali saw what he was looking for. Foreman was exhausted. His punches had slowed. His guard was dropping. Ali moved off the ropes. He started punching. Fast, precise combinations. He hit Foreman with everything he had. Foreman was tired. He could not respond. A final right hand from Ali sent George Foreman crashing to the canvas. The referee counted. Foreman could not get up before 10. Muhammad Ali was the heavyweight champion of the world again. He threw his arms wide open. He looked at the sky. The crowd screamed. It was the loudest sound any of them had ever heard. This was the rope-a-dope. This was Ali's plan. He had let Foreman tire himself out, and then he had finished the fight. It was one of the greatest tactical performances in the history of sports. Ali's corner rushed into the ring. Angelo grabbed him and said with tears in his eyes, "I cannot believe you. I absolutely cannot believe you." Ali laughed and said, "I told you, Angelo. Trust me." The years that followed were filled with great fights and great moments. Ali fought Joe Frazier 2 more times. The third fight, called the Thrilla in Manila in 1975, was one of the greatest boxing matches ever fought. It was held in the Philippines. It was brutally hot. Both men pushed each other to the absolute limit. Round after round, they fought. Both men were exhausted. Both men were suffering, but neither would stop. After the 14th round, Frazier's trainer made the difficult decision to stop the fight. Frazier could not continue. Ali had won. But Ali himself said afterward that the fight nearly killed him. He told reporters, "It was the closest thing to dying I have ever known. Joe Frazier is a great, great man. I want to say that. He pushed me to a place I have never been." He had respect for Frazier. And Frazier, despite the hard words before their fights, had respect for Ali too. Ali defended his title again and again. He was beloved around the world, not just in America. He was adored in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in South America. Wherever he went, people came out in thousands to see him. He once said, "I am a man who belongs to the world, not just to one country, not just to one race. I belong to all people." But the years of fighting were taking a toll on his body. Ali had taken many punches over his long career. He had fought too many fights, some people said. He had not retired early enough. In 1978, he lost his heavyweight title to a young fighter named Leon Spinks. It was a shock to many people. Ali was 36 years old. He had fought too often. He was not at his best. But once again, Ali came back. He fought Spinks again 7 months later, and he won. He won the heavyweight title for an unprecedented 3rd time. No man in history had won the heavyweight championship 3 times. He stood in the ring and said, "I told you, I am the greatest." He retired shortly after, then came back briefly in 1980, then retired for good in 1981. His last few fights were difficult to watch for his fans. He was older. He was slower. He was not the Ali of 1964 or 1974. His body had given everything it had. A few years after retiring, Ali was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. This is a neurological condition that affects a person's ability to control their movements. It causes trembling of the hands and body. It slows speech. Over time, it becomes more and more difficult to live with. Many people believe that the thousands of punches Ali received during his long boxing career contributed to his condition. The medical evidence strongly supports this. When the world saw Ali in public in the years after his diagnosis, many people were deeply sad. The man who had moved like a butterfly and talked with such fire and speed was now moving slowly. His speech was quiet and careful. But Ali himself was not sad. He was not hiding. He was not ashamed. He continued to appear in public. He continued to give speeches. He continued to stand for the causes he believed in. He said, "God gave me a disease. He also gave me the strength to live with it. I am not going to hide. I am going to live." In 1996, the Summer Olympics were held in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. The world was watching. During the opening ceremony, there was a moment planned where a famous person would light the Olympic torch to begin the games. The world did not know in advance who it would be. Then Muhammad Ali appeared at the top of the stairs. He was holding the torch. His hand was shaking with Parkinson's. But he stood tall. He walked carefully. And he brought that torch down and lit the Olympic cauldron. The crowd of over 80,000 people in that stadium rose to their feet. They cheered and cheered. Many people were crying. It was one of the most powerful and emotional moments in Olympic history. Ali stood there, holding the torch, trembling but standing. He had come full circle. The boy who had won Olympic gold in 1960. The man who had given his title away for his beliefs. The champion who had won the world back. Now he stood here again, at the Olympic stage, representing the best of humanity. That image went around the world. People who had grown up watching Ali remembered that moment forever. Muhammad Ali did not just live for boxing. He lived for humanity. Throughout his life, he traveled to many countries in crisis. He went to Iraq in 1990 to help negotiate the release of hostages. He walked into a dangerous situation without fear because he believed he could help, and he did. American hostages were released. He worked with UNICEF, the United Nations organization that helps children around the world. He traveled to places where children were suffering from poverty and hunger and disease. He sat with them. He played with them. He let them touch his face and pull his beard. He told them, "You matter. You are important. You are loved." He supported education. He worked with organizations that helped people in need. He used his fame not for money and luxury, but for service. His wife Lani said of him, "Muhammad always believed that everything he had was given to him for a purpose. And the purpose was not to be rich. The purpose was to help people." The world loved Muhammad Ali. Presidents of countries sought to meet him. Kings and queens wanted to shake his hand. Common people felt that he understood them. Poor people in places far from America felt that he spoke for them. He was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2005 by President George W. Bush. This is the highest civilian honor in the United States. At the ceremony, President Bush said, "Muhammad Ali is a man of conviction, a man of personal courage, and an inspiration to all Americans." Ali accepted the medal quietly and graciously. He had come a long way from the boy who could not eat in a restaurant in Louisville, Kentucky, with his Olympic gold medal around his neck. But he never forgot that boy, and he never let the world forget the injustices that boy had faced. As Ali grew older, he remained a beloved figure around the world. His body was weaker, but his spirit never faded. His daughter, Laila Ali, became a professional boxer herself. She became a world champion. Ali was incredibly proud of her. He watched her fights with great joy. He told her before her first professional fight, "You carry my name, but you also carry your own name. Fight for yourself. Fight with pride. And remember, champions are not born in gyms. They are born in the heart." Laila later said those words stayed with her throughout her entire boxing career. Muhammad Ali passed away on June 3, 2016. He was 74 years old. He had lived a remarkable life. His body had finally given out after decades of fighting an illness. The reaction around the world was extraordinary. People stood in silence. World leaders made statements. Churches held prayers. Mosques held prayers. Sports arenas around the world observed moments of silence. In Louisville, Kentucky, thousands of people lined the streets for his funeral procession. They came from all walks of life, black and white, old and young, rich and poor. People of all religions and all backgrounds stood together to say goodbye to a man who had meant so much to so many. His friend and comedian Billy Crystal spoke at his memorial. He said, "Muhammad Ali was not the heavyweight champion of the world. He was the champion of the world. Period." The President of the United States, Barack Obama, released a statement that said, "Muhammad Ali shook up the world, and the world is better for it." Around the globe, people shared memories of the man who had touched their lives. An elderly man in Egypt said, "I never met him, but when I was a young man, I watched him fight. And he taught me that it is possible for a man to stand for what he believes, no matter the cost. A young boxer in Nigeria said, "I became a boxer because of Muhammad Ali. He showed me that a boy from nowhere can become the greatest." A woman in India said, "He was not just a boxer. He was a human being who chose to use his greatness for good. That is the rarest thing in the world." What made Muhammad Ali the greatest was not just his boxing skill. The world has seen many great boxers. What made Ali unique was the combination of his physical genius and his moral courage. He could have chosen the easy path. After winning the heavyweight title in 1964, he could have defended it quietly. He could have stayed away from politics and controversy. He could have made his millions and lived comfortably and said nothing. But that was not who he was. He stood up against an unjust war. He paid a price that most people never could have paid. He lost 3.5 years of his career. He lost his title. He lost income. He faced prison. He faced hatred. And he stood firm. He once said, "The man who has no imagination has no wings." He imagined a world of justice. He imagined a world where every person was treated with dignity, regardless of their race or religion. He imagined a world where a young black boy from Louisville could look in the mirror and say, "I am the greatest," and mean it truly. He did not just imagine that world. He fought for it. There is a story that Ali told many times. After he retired from boxing, a young boy came up to him one day. The boy was maybe 10 years old. He was poor. His clothes were old. He looked at Ali with wide, shining eyes. The boy said, "Mr. Ali, will I ever be great?" Ali looked at the boy for a long moment. Then he knelt down so he was at the boy's eye level. He looked at him directly, and he said, "You already are great. You were born great. The question is whether you will believe it. The question is whether you will do the work. The question is whether you will stand up after you fall down. Greatness is not given. Greatness is chosen every single day." The boy looked at Ali with tears in his eyes. He said nothing. He just nodded. Ali stood up, put his hand on the boy's head gently, and walked away. That boy grew up, and he remembered those words every day of his life. Ali did not know that boy's name. Ali probably did not remember that moment. But for that boy, it was the most important moment of his life. That was the power of Muhammad Ali. He changed lives without even trying. Think about where it all began. A small basement gym in Louisville, Kentucky. A 12-year-old boy with no money and a stolen bicycle. A police officer who also coached boxing. A simple invitation. If you want to fight somebody, you should learn how to box first. From that one moment, everything grew. A career, a life, a legacy that touched millions of people and will continue to touch millions more. The lesson is not that you need to be Muhammad Ali. The lesson is that you never know what one moment can lead to. You never know what one decision can become. You never know how far one dream can take you if you have the courage to believe in it and work for it every single day. Ali believed in himself when no one else did. He trained when he was tired. He got up when he was knocked down. He stood for what was right when it cost him everything, and he used his platform to make the world more just and more loving. He was not perfect. No human being is. He made mistakes. He said things that were sometimes unkind. He hurt people with his words. He was not always the man he wanted to be. But he tried. He kept trying. He kept growing. He kept loving. He kept fighting for justice. That is what matters in the end. So the next time you feel tired, remember the boy running in the dark streets of Louisville before sunrise. Remember he was tired too, but he kept running. The next time you face failure, remember the man who lost his title, lost his freedom to box, faced prison, and still came back. Still trained, still believed, still won. The next time someone tells you that you cannot do something, remember the young man who walked into Madison Square Garden with everyone saying he would lose, and who stood in the ring and proved every single one of them wrong. The next time you are afraid to stand for what you believe, remember the champion who gave up everything because his conscience would not allow him to do otherwise. Remember that he stood firm, and remember that history proved him right. Muhammad Ali once said, "Don't count the days, make the days count." That is not just advice for boxers. That is advice for every single human being who wants to live a life of meaning and purpose. Make your days count. Put in the work. Believe in yourself. Stand for what is right. Get up when you fall. Love the people around you. And never, never stop dreaming. Muhammad Ali was born Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. in a city where the color of your skin determined your value. He grew up in poverty. He faced racial hatred. He faced injustice. He faced enormous powerful forces that wanted to keep him small and silent. But he was never small, and he was never silent. He was Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time. And now, every person who hears his story carries a piece of him. Every person who is inspired by his life carries the flame forward. The greatest champion the world has ever known is gone, but his words remain. His courage remains. His love remains. And so does his greatest lesson. You are greater than you think you are. Believe it. Work for it. Live it, fight like a butterfly. Sting like a bee, and never ever give up. Moral of the story. True greatness is not about how many times you win. It is about how many times you get back up after you lose. It is about standing firm for what is right, even when the cost is high. It is about believing in yourself when no one else does. Working harder than everyone around you, using your gifts to serve others, and having the courage to face the world with your head held high. Muhammad Ali did not just become the greatest boxer of all time. He became the greatest because he was willing to lose everything for his beliefs and still keep going. That is the kind of greatness available to all of us if we are brave enough to choose it.